Imagine this. You're a 15-year-old girl from a small village called Dobrosloven from Romania, a small rural place. You have a prior arrangement with your boyfriend to meet in Caracal at your high school Mihai Viteazul to spend some time during your summer vacation. So, around 10 a.m. July 24, 2019, you decide to leave towards Caracal and to hitchhike for a ride. Now, you might think to yourself that for a 15-year-old girl, this is not a very smart decision. But you have to take into account where this takes place in a rural side of Romania. Romania, although not the safest place in the world, is still safe when it comes to crime and especially kidnappings, with an average of only 2 kidnappings per 100,000 people. And taking into consideration we are in the rural side of things, crimes, especially violent ones, are quite rare. Romania has a crime index of 26.9, one of the lowest in Europe, and compared to USA, which has almost double with 49.2, and taking into consideration we are on the rural side of things, once again violent crimes are not very common. The most common things are theft or physical assault that very rarely lead to death or serious bodily harm. With that in mind, hitchhiking seems quite normal in the rural side of Romania and not dangerous, especially since the distance would be only 7.2 kilometers or around 4.5 miles for Alexandra to reach Caracal from her hometown. So, Alexandra decides to hitchhike to meet her boyfriend in Caracal, and a good passerby called Gheorghe Dincă, noticing her needing a ride, would offer to take her there since it was on his route. Alexandra, having no suspicion on this friendly 66-year-old man who could be her grandfather, took the offer and jumped in the car. But unbeknownst to her, this would be the worst decision she took in her life, which would lead to her eventual death that was sealed by the atrocious response of the police, who is a result of the failed political system of Romania. Hello everybody, my name is Asura and today I'll be talking about the tragic deaths of Alexandra Măceșanu and Luiza Melencu and Gheorghe Dincă, who is practically the first Romanian serial killer in the past 20 years. I will also be talking a bit about the political history and landscape of Romania, which will be very important when it comes to this case, as you'll see later on, since it was one of the reasons these two girls were not saved. I chose to talk about this case because of a few things. First of all, since Romania is my home country, this one hit quite hard and was a bit shocked about it since, well, in Romania we do not really have serial killers or very tragic violent crimes, which is a great thing, and because I wanted to show what corruption in the political world of a country can lead to. I also wanted to talk about it since I think this case was not touched by any major channels when it comes to YouTube, at least not to my knowledge, and I wanted to bring attention to it alongside not really knowing what other kind of video I wanted to do. After I saw the VCR Willy video, I actually managed to have 300 viewers, which for me as a brand new YouTuber was insane. Thank you to everybody that watched it. If you watched this video, please go to my channel and give that one a go as well. Drop a like, a comment, just to let me know, hey, I think this was good, I did not like this, that. It would help me a lot to improve, as well as letting me know what else would you like me to do a video about, because I kinda have an idea and not really. Like, I definitely want to do more videos like VCR Willy. It's just that two things stop me. First, I need to find a more niche horror series on YouTube I can talk about rather than choosing a known one that 300 channels already talked about in details. And the other thing is that, as you noticed, that video has 3 hours and it took me a lot of time to actually make it, especially since I'm a newbie and it's quite hard for me to put that together. Also, maybe want to do a video about the VHS movie series at some point since I really enjoyed it and it's within the same realm as VCR Willy. So yeah, please leave a comment on this video on what would you like me to cover next. Maybe you want more of this niche true crime slash horror stuff from Romania that are not that well known, or maybe some other horror slash analog series on YouTube, or in general anything horror true crime adjacent. Also, please subscribe to my channel, it will help me a lot and give me a reason to continue to do these videos. As well, on top of it, letting me know in comments on what you did not like about it and what I should improve on. Thank you. With that being said, let's get into it, and as mentioned, let's first talk about the political landscape of Romania. That would be detrimental info when it comes to this case. Romania did some stupid shit when it comes to their alliances in World War II. They kept changing sides, with it towards the end trying to ally with the winning side, but this was not successful for them since they were still considered losers of the war, and because of it we have lost some territories and a lot of assets. Because of this, Romania had no choice to ally with Russia, leading to a communist political uprising in 1947, becoming a communist state. In 1960, Nicolae Ceausescu became our leader, who would later become one of the most notorious dictators in the world. During this time, Romania went through very hard times. People had really tough times due to limited food supplies, really bad wages and working hours, not being able to talk badly about the political side of things, or else you'd be imprisoned or even killed, and everything was government owned, no private property besides housing was allowed to be owned by the nation's people. I remember even now stories from my mother telling me how people would stay in line for hours, and I mean here even 4 to 6 hours to buy simple things from shops like flour, meat, and fruits, and because there was a limited supply, you could wait for hours, and when you would be in front of the register, they would simply say they don't have it anymore. I could go for hours with stories and actual facts about how bad people's life would be, but in 1989 people decided that enough is enough, and during one of Ceausescu's speeches they started a protest that would later on become a revolution. That led to many civilian deaths, with Ceausescu trying to flee by helicopter and later on being caught and actually trialed and shot on live TV. Yeah, crazy times. After this, Romania would change to a democratic political side of things, and you think things would be changing for the better, but the reality of things is not that colorful. After the revolution of '89, the next person in charge would be Ion Iliescu, who would become president through a vote that even today is debated because of the controversies surrounding it, like faking votes, buying votes, and considering he was actually part of the Communist Party before the revolution. Nonetheless, skipping a few years in the 2000s, things are not that great either. A lot of corruption is going on. The leading party for the most of the last 20 years was PSD, who is well known for stealing money, funds, faking votes, putting people in power through nepotism, trying to free well-known political criminals, and so on. I could go on for hours about this too, but to keep it short, it's quite bad. In Europe, we are considered one of the most corrupt countries when it comes to politics, and even then, I think the reality is even worse due to a fact on how many things are being covered and being downplayed. Now, hearing me rant about how bad things are in Romania when it comes to politics, you would wonder why this is irrelevant to our case. You see, in Romania, a very common practice is the I know somebody practice. And if you are from Eastern Europe or maybe Europe in general, you would find this quite common, but for those who don't know, let me explain. The I know somebody saying is practically nepotism or favoritism because you are either family or really close friends with somebody in a high power position, and that person can put you in a high power position as well without the necessary qualifications or right process. This is relevant because this is a very common practice when it comes to the police side of things. Quite recently, one of the best investigative channels in Romania called Recorder made a video on how common it is for higher positions in the police force to be politically assigned by corrupt officials rather than for them to be acquired through the right process for qualified people. Looking at this map, where red represents places in Romania where higher authority positions are only given by political people rather than through a national contest for them. More than half of the higher positions are given through corruption. Not only this, the people who are appointed in these positions are supposed to be doing the biddings of the people that put them in these positions and are highly unqualified for them, who normally require higher education like college or university studies, with most of them not even being able to have a high school diploma. Not only this, but even the normal low-level grants of the police force are actually incapable people, with a lot of them not being qualified for their positions, with lots of them not passing the actual exams to become a police officer and just being given the positions that they did not deserve in the first place. Anyway, I will not go more than this because I could rant forever about it, but do keep it in mind as we move forward with our case. With all of that knowledge out of the way, let's continue our story about what happened with Alexandra. So Alexandra got in the car of Dinka at around 10 a.m. in Dobrosloveni to go to Caracal to meet her boyfriend at their high school. Dinka presented himself as a friendly old man who sometimes gives rice to people that need it. Alexandra got in the rear passenger seat of his car, and to avoid suspicion, Dinka initially did drive towards her high school in Caracal. When they were near Mihai Viteazu High School, he stopped the car and attacked her and tied her with his belt to the rear seat to prevent her from escaping, and then drove her to his house in Caracal. During his drive, he threw her phone out so she won't be able to call for help. The car also seemed to be modified for people to not be able to actually open the car windows or doors, which implies he was premeditating the deed and possibly not the first time when he did this. At around 11 a.m. of 24th of July, they arrive at his house, where Alexandra would experience the worst of her life in a 44-hour time frame. At his house, she would be tied up, beaten, and sexually assaulted multiple times. Somewhere around 8:30 p.m. of that day, her father went to the local police station in Dobrosloveni since he noticed she did not come home and reported her missing, but the officer on duty did not immediately register the case as a suspected kidnapping, just a simple missing juvenile, and her father was told to return if she had not come home by the next morning. A crazy fact considering the circumstances of things, having a 15-year-old teenager girl who went hitchhiking to meet her boyfriend in another city, which she did not reach, a fact that would become detrimental later on. Even though during this time Alexandra would go through her toughest moments, she did not give up 1 second, and through sheer determination, she actually managed to get a hold of a phone inside Dinka's house and managed to call the police 3 times during July 25th around 11 a.m. But the response from the operator and police are what I can only call absolutely disgusting, and one of the main reasons her life was not saved, even though she did her absolute best. Next, I will be translating the transcripts of the 3 calls between the 112 aka 911 operator and Alexandra, and the conversation between the that can be heard in the background of the calls. Please be advised that these things can affect you, and if you want to, you can simply skip over. First call at 11:05 or 8 a.m. 911 operator. Hello, 911. What is your emergency? Hello? Alexandra. Hello, I would like to talk to the police. 911 operator. What happened, ma'am? What's your name? Alexandra. I'm a young lady. I'm a 15 years old and I have been kidnapped by a man. 911 operator. What's your name? Alexandra. Măcișanu Alexandra. Please come fast. I have no idea where I am. 911 operator. What do you mean you don't know where you are? Where is the place you are at? Alexandra. In Caracal. He took me to Caracal, but don't know where exactly. 911 operator with an ironic tone. Well, give me a reference point. Where exactly you are in Caracal? How can we find you? Hello? Alexandra. Yes, please stay, don't leave, please. 911 operator. Have you been sexually assaulted? Alexandra crying. Yes, I have been sexually assaulted. 911 operator. Yes, please stay on the phone, but please give me a reference point to know where to exactly find you. Alexandra. He came, come fast, please. At this point, the phone call ends. The 911 operator. Where the hell to come in Caracal? What the hell am I supposed to do? That he kidnapped her and got her in Caracal. But I do not know where. Here a second operator talks with the first and they contact the cops, but not having enough info to go about, they can go looking for her. We have a second call at 11:06:25 a.m. 911 operator. Hello. 911. What's your emergency? Hello? Alexandra. It's still me. 911 operator. Where are you in Caracal? Alexandra. We passed when I saw the first time. He blinded me and I was near the dam. The man's name is Popescu Lucian Gabriel. 911 operator. Near the dam. Popescu Lucian. Now where are you? Can you look? Alexandra. I can't. I am locked in a room. I can only see a gate. 911 operator. Look on. How do you know him? Tell me. Alexandra. Yesterday I went hitchhiking to go to town and he took me hitchhiking. He closed the door and locked me up in there and then took me to his house. 911 operator. He took you on a hitchhike? The car's plate. Do you remember the car's plate? Alexandra. No. 911 operator. What car? At least the color? Alexandra. The car was gray and with a flattened front. 911 operator. With a flattened front? Alexandra. Yes. 911 operator. That's all you remember? And now you are locked up? Have you passed the dam? Alexandra. Yes, the first time when I looked, but now I don't know. I think I'm in bold or something. I don't know. 911 operator. Good. You have your phone, right? Alexandra. Yes, but it's with him. I'm now calling from another device. 911 operator. It does not matter. Where do you have this device from? Alexandra. Which device? 911 operator. The one you're calling me from. From where? Alexandra. It's his phone. I found it here. 911 operator. His phone? Alexandra. Yes. 911 operator. It's his phone. Yes, good. Alexandra. Yes, ma'am. Please send somebody cause I'm scared. 911 operator. Come on, stop. Wait a bit. I believe you. I understand you. Stay on the phone if you can. Alexandra crying very hard. I am scared. I am scared. That's the end of it. 11:07:52 a.m. The call is taken by the police. Cop, hello. 911 operator, hello, police? Cop, hello. She passed the dam. 911 operator, she passed the dam from what I understood. She has been kidnapped since yesterday and this is her phone. Alexandra, please come as fast as possible. Cop, where to come, lady? Come on, tell us. Alexandra, what? Cop, where? Where? Alexandra, I don't know exactly. I passed the dam, but now I think I'm in Bold. It can't be any other place. Cop, where in? Where are you? Alexandra, in bold. Cop, in bold. Oh, in old country? Alexandra, yes, look, wait a bit, I found an address. Antonius Caracalla, Boulevard number 9. Sound becomes indistinguishable. Cop, stay there, Antonius Caracalla number 9, right? Alexandra, come fast, cause I'm scared, please. 911 operator, continue the address, it seems it's an apartment building. Alexandra, please come fast because I'm scared. Cop, what apartment building is there? You said it's an apartment building. Alexandra, it's not an apartment building, it's a house with a yard. Cop, a house? Good, stay there cause a cop will come, okay? 911 operator with an ironic tone. She is locked. Alexandra, please come fast cause I'm scared he beat me. Cop with a demanding tone. Fine, stay there. Alexandra, I'm staying here because I have no way out. Please come. Cop, are you with somebody? Are you alone? How did you get there? Alexandra, no, I am alone, please. Cop, you are alone. Garrett, stay there. Alexandra, almost crying. I am afraid. The cop through the station. Hello, Antonius Caracal, number 9. There is a girl beaten and sexually assaulted, yes? Alexandra hearing the conversation and starting to cry. Please, come fast because I'm scared. Please. Cop. Miss, close the call. You'll be contacted and the police will come, alright? Alexandra, please, come fast. Cop dismissively. Yeah, fine. Alexandra, sir, there is a big car in the yard. Cop, high tone. Fine. Stay there at number 9, right there. And we have our third call at 11:12:36 a.m. 911 operator, hello, 911, what is your emergency? Alexandra with a desperate tone. Ma'am, have you seen somebody? I think he's coming back and I'm afraid he's going to beat me. 911 operator, yes, you talk with the police, right? Alexandra, yes, with you. 911 operator, what did the police tell you? Alexandra, they told me that they gonna send a unit, but please come faster. Here the cop comes in. Cop, hello. 911 operator. The police? The car came back. Cop, yes ma'am, say miss. Alexandra, have you sent somebody here? Cop with an irritated tone of voice. Yes, we sent. Stay there because in 2 minutes it has no way to fly there, miss. Stay there, alright? Alexandra crying desperately. Come, please, come, I'm afraid. Cop again with an ironic tone. Why are you afraid? Hello? Who are you afraid of? Alexandra, from him. He beat me. Cop, from him? Who is this person? Alexandra, his name is Popescu Lucian Gabriel. Cop, Popescu Lucian. And where does he stay? Alexandra, I said bold. Antonio's Caracal number 9. Cop, at this number 9, says Popescu, this Lucian. Alexandra, I don't know. I found this business card and I thought it's him. Cop, well, is this business card his? Alexandra, I don't know. Cop with an ironic tone. Oh, you don't know even that. Fine. Stay there. A unit will come in around 2 to 3 minutes. Just wait. Alexandra, please, stay with me on the phone cause I'm afraid. Please. Cop, I can stay on the phone with you, miss, cause we have other phone calls as well. Stay there cause the unit will come, yeah, 2 to 3 minutes. What the hell? In the background, Alexandra is crying. Alexandra crying. Fine. Cop, yeah? Stay calm yourself a bit, alright? Alexandra desperately crying. I am afraid. Cop, try to calm yourself a bit, okay? Calm yourself and the cop unit will come. They are on their way. Alexandra, fine, please. Cop, let the line free. If we stay on the phone to keep on talking, the police unit won't be able to talk with you. Alexandra crying, fine, yes. Cop, good. And that is the end of the transcript of the 3 calls Alexandra had with the 911 operator and the cops. I I don't even know where to start with that. I just want to say that there are words that I would like to say about both the 911 operator and the cops who took over the call. That would probably be considered war crimes, and YouTube would have me jail for. What a bunch of useless, inconsiderate, unprepared, untrained, idiotic people these two idiots were. Just looking at the conversation she initially had with the 911 operator, who was dismissive to begin with, inconsiderate, did not show any kind of empathy towards her, and instead of asking useful questions and trying ways to calm her down and help her find information to locate her, she was being ironic and kept asking the same stupid questions when Alexandra was desperate and crying on how she beat her and sexually abused her for the last 24 hours. Instead of calming her down and trying to help her find clues inside the house she's locked in on her whereabouts, she kept asking the same stupid questions and she was not even in a hurry to find her. Then, when the cop took over, he himself asked multiple times the same questions he already got an answer to, was not in no kind of hurry to save this girl, kept being dismissive and ironic with her, and did not even stay on the line to ensure her safety, giving an idiotic reason for it. This is why I talked in length about the political landscape of Romania and the corruption that is leaking within certain sectors like the police, in this case that led to situations like this. The only small reasons that I can understand why they acted like this is simply because cases like this, once again, are not common at all in Romania, resulting in dismissive tone of both the cop and the 911 operator, probably thinking it's not such a big deal as Alexandra is trying to make it be, but to me, this is not a good reasoning for this. To me, no matter if you think it's not as serious, you should treat it as such until proven differently. Otherwise, you could fall in a situation like this one that could lead to tragedy. But this is very common in Romania, considering as well that domestic violence here is pretty common and actually even seen as normal, which is another thing that absolutely pisses me off, but that's another can of worms that we will not talk about. Nonetheless, with both the incompetence of the cops and the 911 operator, Alexandra, even though she was in a very desperate situation with practically no help, even from the authorities, still managed to relay really great information to them by herself, and you would think that would be enough to save her, and that's where you would be totally wrong. Due to the fact that, as you might have noticed, the address she found on that business card is not the actual address and the non-urgency of the authorities, the location was not found until the evening of that day, July 25th. STS, or Special Telecommunications Service, has helped pinpoint an area of the location where Alexandra might be, and using other information, Gheorghe Dinka's house was finally found. Police, prosecutors, and other agencies gathered outside of his house during that night, but do not make an entry and wait until July 26th at 6 a.m. to actually enter his house. They say this was due to the fact that they needed a search warrant and they had restrictions on nighttime searches under the law, which is one of the most stupid things they did. It is true that in Romania law search warrants are to be done only between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., but this is only for normal situations. When you have probable cause like this, it simply does not apply. once again showing the incompetence of the authorities. Once they did enter, they found blood traces, restraints, Alexandra's clothes, and belongings alongside forensic evidence linking Dinka to not only Alexandra but to another missing case for Luiza Melencu. It was clear at this point that Alexandra was dead and it was more of a matter of finding her remains. According to official documents, Dinka, after realizing Alexandra has called 911, he strangled her, took her body in the backyard, and placed it in a large metal barrel, poured gasoline on top of her, and set it on fire, keeping the fire burning for several hours. Then he collected and disposed the remaining material, trying to destroy the evidence, while the police was literally outside of his house waiting. Later on, the authorities found these remains, and with a confession from Dinka, they managed to identify them as belonging to Alexandra. Before talking about the second victim, Luiza, I want to mention just one final thing, and that is that there were some rumors that both police and neighbors heard the girl screaming during the time police was waiting outside, but this was highly dismissed as not being real, and the official report is that Alexandra was killed right after the three 911 calls, somewhere around 12:30 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Now, let's talk about the second victim, which is practically the first actual victim, Luiza Melencu. Now, to be honest here, not a lot of information can be provided about her case, since Luiza, unlike Alexandra, did not manage to call 911, and not a lot of information was found within the initial investigation, but here is what we know. On the morning of April 14, 2019, Luiza leaves Radomir village to Caracal to withdraw some money from an ATM and run some errands. Around 11:30 a.m., she managed to call her grandmother and tell her she found a ride to hitchhike and she's heading home. Gheorghe Dinka, noticing her, he offers her a ride, later on beating her, abducting her, and taking her to his house. According to him, he immobilized her in the car, threw her phone, and took her to his house where she was held captive. Here she was sexually abused, beaten, and later on killed in the same way as Alexandra, and being burned in a metal barrel with her remains thrown in a forest nearby. On April 15, her grandfather, noticing her disappearance, goes to the local police station to report it, but the police suggested that she probably left of her own accord with a boyfriend since she was 18. This was one of the reasons the investigation initially did not result in anything. In May 2019, the case actually managed to reach the ICOT, which is Romania's Organized Crime and Terrorism Prosecutor's Office, but due to what can be negligence and incompetence, nothing was found. Once they entered his house on July 26th, evidence linking Dinka to Luiza's case was found, and they managed to get a confession out of him in August of that year, confirming he killed her and finding her remains in a forest where he said they would be. What is more disturbing about this is that another arrest was made for another man, Ștefan Risipicianu, 44 years old, who also sexually abused this girl. This man was part of Dinka's friend circle, and forensic evidence was found linking him to this case. This man, when noticing this poor girl being kidnapped by his friend, instead of trying to help her, he joined Dinka, and Dinka, since he did not want to get caught by the police, he accepted. Not only this, we can also discuss about one other thing, and that is how Luiza's mother, Monica, was treated by the authorities. After discovering her remains, the authorities wanted a DNA sample from her mother. Monica repeatedly refused this because she no longer trusted the authorities with the investigation, and this, to be honest, can be understood seeing how no actual progress was done initially and how poorly they dealt with both cases. Monica alleges that she was threatened, humiliated, pressured, and told that she would be taken by force if she refuses to give a DNA sample. The court, with a court-issued order, went to her house, where she still refused to give it, which led to a confrontation that led to her fainting and in hospital. The DNA sample was later obtained, and Monica filed a complaint to the prosecutor general, but even to this day, nothing is known what came out of it. Even an internal investigation was done, and after 7 years, there is no result with that. And being Romanian and knowing how things work around here, I'm confident to say that most likely nothing came out of it. Before talking about the results of this when it comes to how was this addressed by the authorities that handled it, and if any firings, cases of misconduct were opened, and some measures were taken when it comes to better police training and how to handle such cases better, let's talk about the psychological profile of Gheorghe Dinka. Dinka was born in 1953 and worked for many years as an auto mechanic. He was married with 4 children and lived alone in Caracal after being separated from his wife. He has some previous convictions, but nothing really serious like murder. The official psychiatric experts concluded that Dinka was mentally competent and legally responsible for his crimes. He did not suffer from a mental illness, he understood the nature and consequence of his acts, and he was criminally responsible. This was clear due to some other facts, like him having unorganized behavior. As mentioned, he had a modified vehicle that he personally set up since he was an auto mechanic to prevent victims from escaping. He threw victims' phones, tied them up, and blinded them to not know where they were being taken. He would take them to a secluded property, and after the sexual abuse and beatings, he would meticulously try to get rid of the evidence. What was found through interrogation is that he was a manipulator. He changed constantly his story, confessed but later on contradicted himself, tried to deny some allegations, and even blamed the investigators. It came up that he lacked empathy, he was emotionally detached, had very limited remorse, and when describing his crimes, he was speaking like he was narrating normal everyday stuff. There was no official confirmation that a certain diagnosis was given to him, and no exact reason for why he became a killer was not given either. The criminologists often explain his behavior due to antisocial personality traits. He clearly had a desire for power and control and violent fantasies. So, in conclusion, there was not given a deeper meaning on why Gheorghe Dinka chose to do these tragic things. He was a mentally capable man that had some deep personal issues, like the lack of empathy that led to his violent crimes. He was somebody that was not kept in check by either those around him or the authorities, which used his skills and mental capabilities to act on his own disturbing fantasies. As seen by the facts of this case, I do not think he was a mentally deranged person like the well-known serial killers that had a certain background which led to tragedies they created. In Romania, we do not have what I would call culture, for the lack of better word, of serial killers, like in the US, where unfortunately they are quite popular and somewhat worshipped by others, which can lead to the creation of other serial killers that can get inspired by them. I think Dinka was a man with some deep personal issues that decided to act on his own desires, and due to incompetence of authorities and the lack of training and corruption within the police force, it led to the death of two young girls who had all their future ahead. Gheorghe Dincă was given the maximum sentence that Romanian law allowed at that time, 30 years. He was convicted of 2 counts aggravated murder, human trafficking, trafficking of a minor, 2 counts of sexual abuse, and 2 counts of desecration of corpses or graves. Now let's talk about our final point, and that is what has this whole ordeal led to when it comes to reforms within the major sectors of police and politics within Romania. The Caracal case managed to trigger one of the largest responses in Romania post 1989. A lot of officials were removed from the police leadership, like the chief of the old country police, with both deputy chiefs as well, and many others in high leading positions. When it comes to the government officials, Interior Minister Nicolae Moga resigned only after 6 days in office. The director of STS, Special Telecommunication Service, Ionel Sorinel Vasilcă, also resigned, with many others following. A lot of disciplinary investigations were opened for the police officers who handled this case alongside the 911 operators. Criminal investigations were opened against the prosecutor who coordinated the intervention, Cristian Ovidiu Popescu, due to the fact that he did not immediately authorize the entry in Dinka's home, despite the emergency, alongside 3 other police officers who partook in this. A lot of official findings were found when it comes to problems within the police department, alongside new reforms being introduced, like missing children procedures to be treated as most urgent, and families not needing to wait 24 hours before action being taken. A reform for police training when it comes to the cases similar like this one was being introduced, and new laws against hitchhiking were introduced, alongside legislative changes when it comes to tougher penalties for kidnappers, stricter rules on parole for violent offenders, and many others. Now, the question remains, does this change a lot when it comes to such cases? Can this help similar cases that can happen in the future? My answer to that would be a resounding no. While I do think this has changed things a bit for the better, for a better response in the future, the change is not enough. Matter of fact, remember a few sentences ago I told you about the fact that a criminal investigation was opened for certain people? Well, the result to that, shocking to no Romanian person, were absolute trash. Quite literally, nothing came out of it. There is no public record of an indictment, trial, or criminal conviction resulting from it. It was simply brushed under the rug, like nothing happened, used at the moment only to appease the masses. Not only this, like mentioned, this year an investigation from Recorder came out when it comes to how high positions within the police force are given was made, where it clearly showed all the corruption still being present in Romania. A bunch of unqualified people being put in important positions that are not qualified for due to political power and being manipulated by certain political parties. On top of it, a lot of unqualified people are still being accepted within the police force with minimum to no real training when it comes to difficult cases such as this one. I think that a big reform is needed when it comes not only to the police department, but when it comes to the political landscape of Romania, who is full of corruption, and until then, tragedies like this can still very well happen. That was pretty much all from me, guys. I once again wanted to speak of this case that shocked me when I first heard about it back in 2019, that showed the problems within the Romanian corrupted system. If by any chance somebody fully watched this video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment if you like this video, what you did not like, even if you think this was absolute dog shit. Please let me know so I can know what I could change, and maybe let me know what else would you like to make a video about. Thank you.